March 3rd, 2022. I'm in the house and there's this low vibrational hum. I don't know if it's underneath the house, if it's above the house, but it's hitting the house. And it's like in the walls. And it's felt today, biologically, in figurative form. I'm having a lot of popping in my joints, and my legs are incredibly heavy. Like they're heavy to move. My pace, P-A-C-E, slow, S-L-O-W. It's really hard to breathe. The walls keep shaking, as well as the floor and the ceiling. It's been going on all day, but again, it's like labor pains. It comes and then it ceases for a while, and then it comes back and then it ceases for a while. I'm just watching the 12 o'clock news to see whatever the state and FCC is putting on. I don't see anything that would qualify for shaking a house. I've spoken to some of the neighborhood folks about the moon disappearing, about the walls shaking in the house. I asked if on their side of Bayside if they felt anything. I don't know what more to do. I mean, so this is what's on Channel 7 in Little Egg Harbor, New Jersey, right? Lower, they're fighting fire with fire. This is what they say.
To reduce the risk of future wildfires by burning pine needles, dead leaves, and other dry underbrush. Katie Cottrell from our sister station, WPVI.
This is environmental
Fire
protection.
Crews are intentionally setting fire here to a Bass River forest in an attempt to show how to reduce fuels and wildfires.
Look, we don't do this without a lot of care and thought and a lot of careful planning.
Throughout the year, the New Jersey Forest Fire Service conducts prescribed burns. It's part of their plan before prime wildfire season starts later into March. They're trying to prevent what we saw last spring in Little Egg Harbor Township, where a wildfire consumed hundreds of acres.
The reason we're doing that is so if there's a fire in the future, a wildfire, that we're able to contain that fire by steering it into a past prescribed burn.
The goal is to reduce vegetative and forest debris that has the potential to fuel a wildfire. A little more than 100 acres were burned today, and a couple thousand acres will be burned in the state today alone. Fire officials say it's imperative they light the fires in the pine limbs.
This is good for forest management. It's good for the wildlife and the plants and animals that live here.
Crews also say many forest fires can be prevented.
9 out of 10 wildfires in New Jersey are started by people. Discarded cigarettes, unattended campfires. There are some equipment breakdowns like catalytic converters on cars would start fires. So just be extra careful.
Given that New Jersey had around 900 forest fires last year, there are some things that you can do to help prevent a forest fire, especially if you live close to a forest, like cleaning out the pine needles out of the gutters of your home and not stacking wood next to your house. I'm Katie Cottrell for Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Well, still ahead, the new Batman movie hits theaters this weekend. Up next, why you may pay more to see it and how the new pricing could be a sign of things to come. And more than 500,000 people in Australia's biggest city preparing for the worst as they're threatened by extreme flooding. Taking a live look outside here, blue skies.
It's the first time I've heard of Australia having flooding. But this is the level of the, if communications is supposed to be this feedback loop, with this communications project, the area that I've been in since a young child's been pretty much knocked out. Now, I asked Lynn, when I was little, they spoke of a musician called Elvis, Elvis. They used to call him the King, and he was an entertainer, but he was not on the calendar. When Linda was little, there was that she never heard of Martin Luther King Jr. And then right around, I think they said JFK's assassination, then there was the assassination of the whatever's on the calendar. And for some reason, years later, it made it onto the calendar. But this happened between Linda's birth and my birth. Somehow, somebody put this false king on the calendar, and communication started. It's a huge track signal that's incorrect and dangerous based on the rock and the paper that we use with the founding fathers. Even though there's unrest in the American colonies, there still are anchors of security that need to be upheld, that being rock wall and the origins and founders. And their ancestors while they're here. So this oversight on the calendar about Martin Luther King and the problem that it brings to the entire situation. Linda doesn't know when it appeared. I don't know when it appeared. But it was sometime between her birth and mine. After his assassination, it just appeared on the calendar. But I don't know who is in charge of watching the printing of the calendars to make sure. But it's also tied into some kind of either national or federal holiday system that the humans use in this New York area. I just, again, don't know who's in charge of that level. But it should never have gone on the calendar as a priority. It sends the wrong track and signaling to the people that actually hold securities licenses and actually work in the field. I mean, as a novice and a non-participant, I can see on the calendar just how it's sending the wrong signal to other cultures and other places elsewhere. And it's not a permanent feature either. A rock wall, permanent feature. The money system, that's a permanent feature that matches. It's a coordinated effort. This calendar is a real problem, and I don't know what it signifies. But what I do know is that my biological human, my figurative, my physicality is being punished by something. And there's a whole lot of problems that people have not cleaned up in my life frame. And today my house is shaking. Last night was the 6th night there was no moon in the sky. I mean, these are big astrological events and environmental events that are going on. And I'm just sitting here with no information as to who could be responsible or what it could possibly mean. And the only thing I have to go off of is this television to try to get some form of communication about what could possibly be going on causing this, and going out into the community and speaking to them. I mean, I spoke to the assistant principal at PS 31. I had asked him a while ago where the flag went, the United States of America flag. He didn't know. He didn't even know it was gone. So he said he would get back to me. He didn't. I asked him again today, did you ever find out where it went?